All right. Hello, everyone. We are ready for our next game of Marvel Champions. Today, our hero will be Gamora. Gamora is my most played hero. Not by much. I think there's a couple other heroes that have just a couple fewer plays than I have with her. But she's the hero I've played the most. She, with the exception of Gambit, is also my favorite hero. Um, Gambit is slowly becoming close to being my favorite. I'm not sure yet which one I like better yet. I've played Gamora a lot more. Um, so she's still pretty high on my list just from having played her so much. Um, but um, just if you asked me uh, before Gambit came out, there would have been no question. It would have been Gamora is my number one hero in the game. Um, and the reason for that is because of how versatile she is. So, a lot of a lot of heroes are really good at one thing, and then okay at a second thing, and then not very good at the other parts of the game. And Gamora is just kind of good at everything. She's not amazing at any one thing. She's just really good at everything for the most part. So her whole thing is that she wants to play events. So she wants to play attack events and thwart events specifically. When she does that, once per phase, whenever she plays an attack event, that attack event will also remove one threat from a scheme. So it's an attack event that also does a little bit of thwarting. And then the opposite is true as well. Whenever you play a thwart event once per phase, you can deal a damage to an enemy. So it's a thwart event that also does a little bit of attacking. So with that, she has some different deck building rules than some of the other heroes, where most heroes you choose one aspect and then that's kind of it. For her, you choose an aspect and then you're allowed to include 6 events, attack and thwart events, in your deck that are from aspects other than your chosen aspect. So the aspect that I have her in is aggression. So most of her event cards will be aggression, but she'll also have cards that are not aggression. So for example, I've got these 2 justice events. And so she'll also have she can have leadership cards, she can have protection cards, as long as there are only 6 that are not your chosen aspect. On her alter ego side, it gives you those rules for her deck building. And then on her alter ego side, it also allows you to look at the top card of your deck and see if it's an event. And if it is, you get it. In addition to that, she has a bunch of cards in her deck that make her better at doing those things. So I already drew my starting hand here, and I happen to get Keen Instincts here, which is going to be a card that you can use as a resource towards paying for events. So I'm going to want to play this card for sure, because it's going to make every event or not every event, but one event per round is going to be cheaper, basically. And then she's going to have a bunch of cards in her deck, in her 15 cards that are specific to her, that are going to, like for example, Decisive Blow is an attack event, and it's going to deal a certain amount of damage, but then it's going to have an upgraded amount of damage that it will do if you had previously played a thwart event on your turn. So it says deal 4 damage or 7 instead if you played a thwart event this turn. So she's going to have a bunch of cards like that where they're going to be better if you played a card of the opposite type. So she'll have cards that remove threat, and they'll remove threat better if you had previously played an attack event. So there's a bunch of things like that in her deck. I happened to draw this Piercing Strike card, which is perfect for the situation that we're starting with right now, because the villain we're playing against happens to start with tough, and this will pierce it, so it'll get rid of that tough before the attack goes through. So things like that. Okay, our villain for today is Kang, who I have only played against a couple times, and he's a little bit more complex and a little longer, so there's a decent chance I'll make some mistakes today, but I'll do the best I can. The way Kang works is he comes in as a normal villain, has a normal villain card, has a normal main scheme, all that kind of stuff. But then if you defeat him, what's going to happen is he's got different forms. So he's got Kang Immortus, he's got Kang Scarlet Centurion, Iron Lad, and Ramatut. And what those are is basically you're going to choose one of those randomly to be the one that you're actually going to be fighting when you fight his second stage. So when you fight his second stage, you don't know which of these you're necessarily going to be fighting yet. If you're playing this in multiplayer against Kang with multiple players, each player gets dealt one of these. Then each of these is tied to a specific side scheme, specific main scheme. Sorry. So, for example, if I get Inexorable Fate, I get a certain one. If I get Realm of Ramatut, then I'd be fighting against Ramatut. If you're playing with multiple players, the way this works is each character gets dealt one of these, and they kind of have to deal with this scheme on their own in separate areas, basically. So they're in different time streams, they can't help each other, so on and so forth. With Solo, that's a little less important. Eventually, then, you'll eventually defeat him a second time, and then, unlike most villains, he actually has a third stage that you have to fight against. So he's got Kang the Conqueror Stage 3, where you have to fight him a third time. So we will do our best to do this correctly. Like I said, this is a little bit more of a complicated scenario. So we'll do our best. We'll see if we even make it to half of this stuff, because we might get defeated before we get there. But we'll do our best and see what happens. All right, and in the interest of making sure we do this as correctly as possible, I've actually got the rule book for this scenario here. I don't often have to read the rules for Marvel Champions anymore, but I've got them, so I might as well use them. I've also got them bookmarked on my computer here at all times. So, okay, so right away at the beginning of the game, also Kang starts with tough, and then it says when Kang attacks, either place one threat on the main scheme, or he gets +2 attack for that attack, so we can let him build up threat or give him extra boosting to his attack. However, if this main scheme goes to 7, we just lose. So we can't let that happen before we defeat him this first time. So we have to defeat him this first time and not let his main scheme get to 7. And then it says, when defeated, advance the main scheme to the next stage at the end of the phase. So that's important, because if we defeat him in the middle of our turn and we have other things we need to do, he doesn't go to his next stage immediately necessarily, because it doesn't switch until the end of the phase. So that might give us a minute after we've defeated him to put upgrades in play or things like that. The very first thing I'm going to do on my turn is I'm going to use Gamora's alter ego ability, which says look at the top card of your deck. If that card is an attack or thwart event, draw it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the top card of my deck. It is Acrobatic Move. That is an attack event, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and flip over to Hero Form. Oh, and then I did forget to mention the reason I have this villain deck card sitting in front of me. This main scheme, Kang's Arrival, says when revealed, deal each player an encounter card. So I have an extra encounter card for the first round. So that's what that is sitting there for. Okay. So like I said, I definitely am going to want to play this Keen Instincts card because it's going to make my events easier to play. So I'm going to spend a resource to play that, and then I'm going to use it as a resource plus one more to play that Piercing Strike that we talked about. So I'm going to play Piercing Strike, deal 3 damage to an enemy, and it gains Piercing. So I'll get rid of his Tough, and that 3 damage will actually go through. So we'll knock him down to 9. And then since I played an attack event, I would also get to use her finesse ability after you play an attack event, remove one threat from a scheme. But there isn't any threat on the main scheme right now, so I can't do that. I am going to hold on to this decisive blow because it deals 7 damage instead of 4 if I play a thwart event, but I don't have any thwart events right now, so I'm going to hold on to that. And I'm going to play acrobatic move to deal 2 damage to an enemy, so I'll just hit him for 2 more. Knock him down to 7. And then I will use Gamora's basic attack of 2 to hit him for 2 more and knock him down to 5. So I said I want to save this decisive blow, and then I can't play dropkick because I don't have enough resources left. So those 2 cards, I'm just going to hold on to those, and then that's the end of my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and ready all of my stuff. And I've got 2 cards, so I'm going to draw 3 to get back up to 5. Okay, so I drew a second copy of dropkick. And then I drew 2 Power of Aggressions. So those count as 2 resources when paying for a red aggression card. So that is all right. I was hoping I would draw a thwart event since Decisive Blow is so much better when you draw a thwart event, but that is okay. All right, so then he is going to get 1 threat on the main scheme. And then he's going to attack me for 2, but I have to decide if I want to give him another threat or let him attack me for 4. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him have the extra threat because I'm going to definitely play at least 1 attack event next round, and that will remove 1 threat at least from the main scheme because of Gamora's ability. So I'm going to let him do that. That way he doesn't hit me as hard, and I'm not going to defend the attack. So he's going to hit me for 2 plus a boost card, and it's going to be just 2. And we got rid of an advance card, which is always good. So I start at 10, so he's going to knock me down to 8. All right, and then he already gave us an extra encounter card because of the setup ability on Kang's Arrival, so we have to deal with 2 encounter cards. Our first one is Enchantress. Perfect. Okay, so the Kang scenario usually requires you to use 1 encounter set. Normally, it is an encounter set from the Kang expansion, but I'm using the next one in alphabetical order, which is Enchantress. It says, when revealed, search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for a copy of Seduced and attach it to your identity. So we're going to go find that card. You probably noticed already, but the deck when you play against Kang is huge. Okay, so I found a copy of Seduced. It says, attached to your identity, you cannot make basic attacks or play attack events. Oh, no. Okay. Spend a energy resource and a mental resource to discard this card. Well, that is unfortunate. My entire hand is attack events right now. Okay, well, I guess I'll be getting rid of that. Okay, and then Enchantress is in play against me. And then I need to shuffle the deck. And then I have to deal with 1 more encounter card. All right. Second encounter card is Corrupted Time Stream. Players cannot trigger alter ego action abilities on obligations. When revealed, each player must either discard 1 random card from hand or place 2 threat here. I'm just going to do the 2 threat ability option because I'm already going to have to discard cards from my hand to get rid of the Seduced attachment that she just gave me. And I don't have any obligations in play right now. One interesting thing about the Kang scenario in the setup, they actually have you remove your player specific, your hero specific obligations. So you don't play with these because there are a bunch of obligations in Kang's deck. So you just use those instead. So basically, this side scheme is telling me if I had any of those obligations out, I wouldn't be able to get rid of them right now as long as this is out. Since I don't have any right now, this isn't as big of a threat, but I'm going to want to get rid of this eventually. Okay, so right now it is telling me that I cannot play attack events or use basic attacks unless I spend an energy and a blue resource. And the only way that I can do that right now is by getting rid of both of my power of aggressions, because all of the other cards in my hand are red resources, not blue and yellow resources. This is super painful. Those are the only two power of aggressions in my entire deck, because you can only have two, and I have to get rid of both of them. So I'm going to get rid of both of them to get rid of the seduced attachment. Man, that was rough. Okay, then I will spend Keen Instincts plus... let's do... let's do plus 2 more resources, and I'm going to play this copy of Dropkick. And it says deal 4 damage to an enemy, and if you paid for this card using only red resources, stun that enemy and draw a card. So I'm going to do it to Kang. So I'm going to knock him down to 1. I'm going to stun him and draw a card since I paid for that using only red resources. Let's see, the card I drew is Strength. Okay, so that doesn't do me any good right now. I played an attack event, so I can remove a threat from a scheme. So I'm going to remove a threat from, let's do from the Corrupted Time Stream. And then I am going to use Gamora's basic attack. So I could use her basic attack to defeat Kang. Or I could use her basic thwart to remove some threat. I think I'd like to give myself a little bit more time before I get him to his next stage. So I think I'm just going to remove 2 threat from Corrupted Time Stream, just so I don't end up having that be a problem. Okay, so then I'm going to ready my cards. And then I've got the Strength that I drew is the only card I have, so I get to draw 4. Okay, so I have the Strength, and then I drew Cross Counter, which is an attack, a defense, and a thwart event. And if I take any amount of damage, I can prevent it, deal a damage to an enemy, and remove a threat from a scheme. And then this counts as an attack and a thwart. So it will deal a damage to an enemy, remove a threat from a scheme, and then it will do both of those again because it will trigger her ability, both of her abilities. So I'll probably be using that soon. Decisive Blow we had already. Hit and Run is a attack and thwart, deal 2 damage, remove 2 threat, a little bit of both. And then I got Gamora's Sword. After you play an attack event, deal an extra damage to an enemy. Pretty good hand. Okay, so problem is I can't play the whole thing. Okay, so he gets 1 threat on the main scheme, and then he would attack me, but he can't because he's stunned. And then Enchantress attacks me for 1, so I'm just going to take that. I'll take 1 damage. And then I'm going to get an encounter card. My encounter card is Past Machinations. So I get Incite 1, so I place 1 threat on the main scheme. Then, when revealed, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a different obligation and reveals it. Then shuffle the encounter deck. So I have to find one of those obligations that Corrupted Time Stream is referring to. I haven't discarded one yet, so I'm going to look through the deck. And I'm going to pause while I search through the deck just because there's so many options. Okay, so I found the different obligations that it's asking for. So I get to choose one of these, basically. Depowered is you cannot play hero-specific cards. Discard a hero-specific card from your hand and discard this obligation. So this is the alter ego action that the Corrupted Time Stream is referring to. So I can't do this action to get rid of it while that Corrupted Time Stream is in play. I don't think I want to do depowered because I like being able to play my hero-specific cards, especially this round since that's all I got in my hand, basically. I got 1 basic card, and then the other ones are all hero-specific cards. So I don't want to do that one. Weakened is after you use a basic hero power, take a damage. That's not too bad. That's my go-to at the moment. Time Travel Hijinks. Discard the highest cost card you control, then place it face down under this card. Discard an energy resource, discard this obligation, and discard the card that was with it. I don't love that. Place the top 8 cards of your deck face down under this card, and then discard the cards when you get rid of it. Of those, I think I'm going to go with the Weakened. So I have to put that in play. And it doesn't have a when revealed effect, so nothing happens right this second. It is basically just going to be the cost of using my basic attack, basic thwart, basic defense is going to be taking a damage. And currently I cannot get rid of that until I get rid of that Corrupted Time Stream side scheme, which I will hopefully be doing here soon. All right, let me reshuffle the encounter deck, get that squared away. I'd like to get rid of Enchantress and the Corrupted Time Stream. I'd like to get rid of both of those before I knock that last damage off of Kang, just so I can kind of have a clear board before everything goes crazy. All right, let's see what we can do here. It is my turn. Okay, so I think that I'm going to pay 3 resources to put Gamora's sword into play because that's going to be really helpful. And then I'm going to spend Keen Instincts, exhaust Keen Instincts, plus 1 resource to play Decisive Blow, which will deal 4 damage to an enemy. And I'm going to deal that to Enchantress. And then after you play an attack event with Gamora's sword, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So I'll deal 1 more to Enchantress, and that will knock her out. And then after I play an attack event with Gamora with her ability on her hero card, I also get to remove a threat from a scheme. So I'm going to remove a threat from Corrupted Time Stream. And then I will use her basic attack of 2 damage to knock Kang down to 0. The cost of that will be taking 1 damage from the Weakened obligation. And then that will knock him down to 0. It says, when defeated, advance to main scheme to stage 2 at the end of the phase. So I have until the end of the phase to be able to do that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to alter ego form. And I'm going to use her ability to look at the top card of my deck, and if it's an event, I get to draw it. It is an event. Technically, it has to be an attack or thwart event, but I think those are the only ones I have. So I'm going to take that into my hand. I was hoping that it would have a red resource in the corner because then I'd be able to get rid of my weakened, but I'll have to just wait on that. Okay, and then we are going to ready everything, and then I'm going to draw my new hand. I've got one card. I've got that forward momentum, so now that I'm in alter ego form, I get to draw up to 6 cards. Okay, so I drew another cross counter. We kind of talked about what that card does already. I have the forward momentum that I had already. And then I got a couple allies. Martin X is one that I've had in this deck for a while. He came out in the Thanos expansion, I believe, is when he came out. His ability is that his cost is 3, but it is reduced by 1 if you have the Guardian trait. So if I play him while I'm in hero form and have the Guardian trait, he costs less. This ally is a newer one. This one just came out in the newest expansion, the newest Apocalypse expansion, Gold Balls. He's a mutant, obviously. He's an X-Men character. And then I got 2 copies of Hit and Run, that basic card that we had before, where it does both damage and thwart. Okay, then that is the end of the hero phase. So I defeated him. It says advance the main scheme to stage 2 at the end of the phase. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to set that scheme off to the side over there, and we're going to grab the second main scheme. All right, it says, Kang reels back, but he saves himself by separating the heroes through time and space. So again, if I was playing multiplayer, we would get all set into different time streams and things like that. Okay, so this says, when revealed, place 1 acceleration token here for each side scheme in play. I forgot that that was even going to happen. I'm glad I got rid of that side scheme for multiple reasons now. Then discard each side scheme. Okay, well, it would have went away anyway, but I'm glad I got rid of it. Okay, each player reveals a random Stage 3A in turn order, then remove any unused Stage 3 schemes from the game. Okay, then we flip this over, and this card is just kind of a general card that would apply to everybody. So it says, when an acceleration token would be placed on another scheme, place it here instead. Players cannot join this game area unless there are no other game areas remaining. When all the players have joined this game area, advance to Stage 4A. Okay, so now we need to choose one of the other stages randomly. So we've got 4 Stage 3s. So we've got the Chronopolis, we've got Inexorable Fate, we've got the Realm of Ramatut, and we've got the Present Future War. So we're going to randomly choose one of those 4. And that's going to determine which version of Kang we're going to fight against next. On their backside, it tells you, when revealed, create your own game area and place this scheme in it. Add Kang Immortus to the game area, or in this case, Kang Iron Lad, so on and so forth. So depending on which one we get, that's going to determine which version of Kang we're going to play against. So I will try to shuffle this without looking. It's hard to shuffle 4 cards, but I'll do my best. I could just choose one. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so the one we're going to go against today is Inexorable Fate. We're going to set the other ones aside. And this one says, when revealed, create your own game area and place this scheme in it. Add Kang Iron Lad to the game area and deal yourself an encounter card. Just to make things simple, I am going to just place it here on top of Stage 2. And then I'll just remember that if I get a acceleration icon, it goes on stage 2 instead. Okay, and so then that means we are fighting against Kang Iron Lad today. So we defeated the first version of Kang the Conqueror. I'm going to set that off to the side. And now we're going against Kang Iron Lad. Kang Iron Lad has Retaliate 1. He starts with Tough, so he has Toughness, so he starts with a Tough card. He has 18 health. I believe all of the different versions have 18, I think. And it's not like 18 per player like the other villains where it does a certain number of health per player. I think they're just all 18. Since heroes get separated into different game areas, it wouldn't make sense to do it per player. Yeah, so 18, 18, 18. If I remember correctly, I think that if you complete your game area, you can help other people. Again, when I'm playing this solo, it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, so on the rules here, on page 5 of the Kang rulebook, it talks about the different game areas, and right here it says if you defeat Kang in your game area, you can join another game area at the end of the phase. And it says that on each copy of Kang, it says when defeated, remove the scheme that you were dealing with from the game, and then at the end of the phase, join another game area. Okay, so Kang has Retaliate 1 now, so if we attack him, we will take damage back. And then on his main scheme now, Inexorable Fate, it says, after this stage is completed, place 1 set aside Kang's Dominion face down under stage 4. At the end of the phase, remove Kang Iron Lad and this stage from the game and combine your game area with another game area. So if I let him finish his main scheme, I will not lose in this case. The only way I can lose in this particular part of the game is if I get knocked down to 0 health. If he is able to get to 9 threat, he will get to add one of these cards, and we will move on to the next stage. And I won't be able to deal damage to him while this is in play. So basically, each player is going to get separated out into their different zones, and then if they defeat him without the main scheme going bad, then this doesn't happen. But the more players that don't do well in their different game areas, the more of these cards will come into play. So there's 1 copy of this card for each player. Obviously, with just playing by myself, we'll only end up using 1 of those. Hopefully, we won't use any of them. Okay, all of that was from defeating him and then ending the hero phase. And now it is his turn. Inexorable Fate starts with 1 threat, and then at the beginning of his turn, he's going to get +1. And then he would normally be activating against me, and if I was in hero form still, he would be attacking me. Since I'm in alter ego form, he's going to scheme. So he's going to scheme for 1. Plus a boost card, so he's going to scheme for just 1 because this card did not have any boost icons on it. So we just flipped to this scheme and it's already at 3. Okay. Then he's going to give me an encounter card, and we'll see what that is. The encounter card he is giving me is Future Weapon. Attached to Kang. When Kang attacks, the attack gains overkill. So if I have allies in play and they block, the extra damage will go to me. If the attack damages a hero, that hero becomes stunned, and after this attack, discard Future Weapon. So he's going to get 1 really big attack, +2 attack, that will gain overkill, and then it will go away. Okay, that's not too terribly bad. Okay, so the first thing I want to do on my turn is I want to get rid of this weakened card. So I need to discard a fist resource from my hand. So I think I'm going to discard this ally. I'd like to play that ally. I wish this ally had the red resource on it instead. I really would like to keep this card. I'm not going to be able to play both of these allies. His ability is just so good because he can attack for 4, which is really good. I think I'm going to have to do this one. So I'm going to get rid of cross counter since it has a red resource on it to discard weakened. Then I'm going to heal for 3 with all her recovery ability. And then I'm going to use her before I discard this card. Let's see if maybe I get a different one. So I'm going to use her ability to look at the top card of my deck, and it's an event. It is after your hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack. I'm just going to discard that one instead because it has a red resource on it. I'll just discard that instead of cross counter because this one is better. I don't have to defend to... I don't have to use my basic defense to use it. So this says after your hero defends against an enemy attack. So let's just discard that one instead. So yeah, that was perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to flip over to hero form. Okay, unfortunately I did not get another copy of Piercing Strike, so I'm going to have to get rid of his tough status a different way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Keen Instincts for 1 resource towards an event. And I'll do one of my 2 copies of Hit and Run as the second resource, and I'm going to play Forward Momentum. So it says remove 3 threat from a scheme, 5 instead if you have played an attack event already this turn. So I'm going to remove 3 threat from the main scheme. And then once per phase when I play an attack event, or a thwart event, I can also deal 1 damage. So I will deal 1 damage to Kang to get rid of the tough. And that also goes around his retaliate because I didn't actually attack him. I just dealt damage to him with a different ability. Then I'd really like to hold on to this ally. I don't really want to get rid of all of these cards to play it, though. But I might need to. I'd really like to hold on to this cross counter card, and then the fact that all of these cost 3 is really unfortunate. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stop there, and I'm going to hold on to these cards. So I'm going to go ahead and ready everything because I know my next attack is going to be fairly big. His next attack is going to be fairly big because of this +2. So I'd like to hold on to this so that I can prevent some of that damage. And then even if I played one of these allies, I'd end up probably trying to use them as a blocker, and then this attack would overkill them anyway. So it's not very often I choose to end my turn with 4 cards in my hand, but I think I'm going to have to. So I readied everything. I'm going to decide if I want to discard any of these. I think I'm going to discard Martin X. He's too expensive. I'm not going to be able to play him and Gold Balls. So I'm going to get rid of him, and then I'm going to draw 2 cards to get back up to 5. Okay, so the 2 cards I drew were Acrobatic Move and the ally Sunfire, which is another fairly new one that I've added into this deck. After you play Sunfire from your hand, spend an energy resource to choose an attachment and discard it. So like if I had been able to play this earlier when I was seduced by Enchantress, then I could have used that ability to get rid of it. Okay, he is going to get 1 threat on the main scheme. Then he is going to attack me for 4. Normally 2 plus 2 from the future weapon. And it gains overkill, which doesn't matter right now. If it damages me, I will become stunned. So I am going to defend it, even though I'm planning on using cross counter to prevent some of the damage. That way I'm going to be more likely to not take damage. So I'm defending for 2. He's attacking for 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Ouch. Okay, well, I'm going to end up taking some damage. So I'm going to exhaust Keen Instincts because I can use that at any time. And that is going to allow me to play cross counter. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 3 of it, and then deal a damage to an enemy and remove a threat from a scheme. So I'm going to prevent 3 of the damage that he sent my way, plus I'm defending for 2, so I'm going to prevent 5 of the damage he sent at me. He hit me for 7, so I'm going to take 2. I'm going to deal a damage to him from cross counter and remove a threat from the main scheme. And then whenever I play an attack event, I remove a threat from the main scheme, which I can't. And then whenever I play a thwart event, I deal a damage. So I'm going to deal another damage from that. However, that is technically an attack event, so I'm also going to take a retaliate damage from Kang. And then, since I took damage from future weapons, I become stunned. And then this card gets discarded. Okay, that was a lot. And I hope I did it all correctly. Okay, and then the last thing that happens is I get, not the last thing, after you play an attack event, deal 1 damage to an enemy from Gamora's sword. So he should have 1 more damage. Now the last thing that happens is I get an encounter card. Time Travel Hijinks. When revealed, discard the highest cost card you control. So the Gamora sword goes away. And place it face down under this card. As an alter ego action, I can discard an energy resource to discard the obligation and the card underneath of it. Unfortunate. Okay, then it is my turn. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and spend 3 resources to play Gold Balls. And then I'm going to attack with him for 1. He takes a consequential damage. And then he takes another damage because Kang has Retaliate. And I'm going to discard the top 3 cards of my deck. And those were decent cards. That's unfortunate. One fun thing is that we have the new Deadpool deck. Gives you a new aspect, technically. Gives you the pool aspect. And so that counts as an aspect of cards that I can include cards from. So I've got a Deadpool card in here, which is just awesome. But these are the 3 cards I discarded, which are all really good cards, which is unfortunate. Granted, pretty much every card in Gamora's deck is a pretty good card. So that means he's going to attack Kang for 4. Down to 11. And then I am going to flip to alter ego form. And as my alter ego action, I'm going to reveal the top card of my deck. And if it's an event, I get to draw it to my hand. It's not, so that's just going to go back on top of my discard, or on top of my draw pile. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and ready all of my characters. And I'm going to draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I got another resource card. I got energy. I got another piercing strike, which gets rid of tough. I got another Keen Instincts, which is going to be another resource towards events. Set the Pace is just a 0-cost threat removal. Daughters of Thanos is a team-up card. I just discarded Nebula, so I'm not going to be able to play this anytime soon. So it'll just be a resource. If Nebula were in play, I would get to draw 3 cards when I played this. Conditioning Room is an alter ego action. I can return the bottom-most attack or thwart event from my discard pile to my hand and heal 1 damage from Gamora. All right. So then Kang is going to get 1 threat on the main scheme. And then since I'm in alter ego form, he is going to scheme for 1 plus 2 is 3 threat on the main scheme. And then he's going to give me an alter ego card, an encounter card. Encounter card is attached to Kang. When Kang is attacked, discard Temporal Shield, prevent all damage, and deal 1 damage to the attacker. Okay, so the next time I attack him, I just don't, basically. Okay, so then it is my turn. Okay, so I'm going to use her alter ego action to look at the top card of my deck. It is Dropkick, which is an attack event, so I'm going to add that to my hand. While I'm in alter ego form, I am going to go ahead and discard Daughters of Thanos as an energy resource to discard Time Travel Hijinks and get my sword back into my discard pile. Try to do some game management here. Then I will spend Dropkick as 1 resource to put another copy of Keen Instincts into play. Make my events even cheaper. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do that with... I'm going to spend... No, that's fine. Okay, then I'm going to spend 1 resource with Set the Pace to play Conditioning Room and exhaust it. Conditioning Room effect is return the bottommost attack or thwart event from your discard pile to your hand. So this is my discard pile. Bottommost is this Concussive Blow. So I'm going to add that to my hand. And then it says also heal 1 damage from Gamora. So I'm going to heal first 1, back up to 7. Okay, I'd like to heal back up to full damage, but I really need to get rid of this stun. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to... Actually... No, that's fine. So I'm going to flip over to hero side, and I'm going to use her basic attack to get rid of the stun. And then I'm going to use gold balls and not discard any cards. I'm just going to swing for 1 damage at Kang. Since this is in play, it says when Kang is attacked, discard this, prevent all damage, and deal 1 damage to the attacker. So this is just gone now. Okay. Then I'm going to I'm going to spend both Keen Instincts as 2 resources. Actually, you know what? I'll just spend 1. So I'm going to spend 1 Keen Instinct plus 2 resources from energy to play Concussive Blow. Oh, I understand why. Okay, never mind. I understand what I need to do now. I am going to use both Keen Instincts plus Piercing Strike and play Concussive Blow, because then it says confuse an enemy if you paid for it using... Oh no, it just has to be a fist resource. I was getting it confused with Dropkick. Dropkick says all fist resources. Okay, so take that back. Again, spend 1 Keen Instinct plus 2 resources from energy to play Concussive Blow. Confuse an enemy. If you paid for this card using a fist resource, deal 3 damage to that enemy. And I'm going to say that the Keen Instinct wild resource was going to count as a red resource. Okay, so I'm confusing Kang and also hitting him for 3 damage. I take 1 back and retaliate because he has retaliate. And then since I played an attack event, I get to remove 1 threat from a scheme. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and ready all of my cards. And I've got 1 card left in hand. I've got Piercing Strike, so I'm going to draw up to 5. Okay, so I got another Concussive Blow, I got another copy of Piercing Strike, and then I got 2 copies of Warrior Skill. It says when your hero attacks, remove a counter from here to deal an additional damage with that attack. Okay. So then it is Kang's turn. He's going to add 1 threat to the main scheme, and then he is going to attack me for 2, plus a boost card. And I will go ahead and defend it. So I'll defend for 2. He's attacking for 2, plus 2 is 4. So I take 2 down to 4. And then I get an encounter card, which says the villain schemes, but he is confused, so he can't. Perfect. All right, so then it is my turn. Okay, so we're going to spend, let's do both Keen Instincts plus 1 copy of Piercing Strike to play Concussive Blow. I'm going to confuse him again, and then since I used at least 1 red resource, I deal 3 damage to him. So he is confused again. I deal 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. I take 1 damage back because of retaliate. And then since I played an attack event, I get to remove 1 threat from the main scheme. Okay. Then I'm going to... Oh, I should have done this first. So I should have paid 2 resources and put Warrior Skill into play first. Comes in with 3 counters, but I'll just put 2 on it. When your hero attacks, remove 1 warrior counter from here. That attack deals 1 additional damage. So I just would have done 1 more damage to him. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back over to Alter Ego form. I'm going to exhaust the conditioning room. Return the bottommost attack or thwart event from your discard pile to your hand. Concussive Blow goes back to my hand. And heal Gamora for 1 damage. Then, now that I'm back in Alter Ego form, I can use her action that says, look at the top card of my deck. If it's an event, I get to add it to my hand. It is. So I'll add that to my hand. And then that is going to be the end of my turn. So I will go ahead and ready everything. And then I have 2 cards in hand. I need to draw 4, but I only have 1 card in my hand. I get a counterpunch. So I have 3 cards. I need to draw 3 more. So since my deck is empty, I am going to get an extra encounter card this round. Fingers crossed while I say this. So far, other than the fact that this game is really long, because Kang games are always really long, this one seems to be going fairly well. So I've had a few little hiccups here and there. Getting seduced by Enchantress on the first turn was not ideal, obviously. Little things like that. Having to lose my sword and losing both of my power of aggression cards in one action and all of that kind of stuff is not great, but things like that happen in this game, whether it's going well or not. So, okay, so I need to draw 3 more cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's see what my hand looks like. Okay, so I had Concussive Blow and Set the Pace in my hand already, and then I got another copy of Set the Pace. Got a Power of Aggression back with no aggression cards in my hand. And then I got a Counterpunch, which will deal damage back to an enemy when he attacks me. Hit and Run, we've seen already. Okay, so, all right, he's going to get 1 threat on the main scheme. He's going to try to scheme against me, but he can't because he's confused. And then I'm going to get 2 encounter cards this round. 1 because I ran out of my deck, and 1 just normal. It's okay. So the first one, Depowered. You cannot play hero-specific cards. This is the one I was hoping to not have to do. As an alter ego action, discard a hero-specific card to get rid of this obligation. And Pinned Down. When revealed, place 2 threat here for each obligation in play. So there's 1 obligation in play, so this gets 4 threat. And I cannot remove threat from the main scheme while this is in play. Okay. All right, and then it's my turn. That could have been worse, that is for sure. Okay. Well, as an alter ego action, I will go ahead and look at the top card of my deck, and if it's an event, I will add it to my hand. It is. As an alter ego action, I will exhaust. Oh, no. Oh, look at this. Okay, so Depowered. I have to discard an identity-specific card, so I'm going to do that to get rid of Depowered. And then, as an alter ego action, Conditioning Room, exhaust Conditioning Room and return the bottommost attack or thwart event from your discard pile to your hand. Look at that. Didn't even have to get rid of it. And then that also heals a damage from Gamora. And then while I'm on this side, I'm going to go ahead and do a full heal since I'm pretty low right now. So I'll heal up to 8. And then I'm going to flip over to hero side. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and play Set the Pace as a event. It is remove 1 threat from a scheme. I don't have a choice. It has to be from here. But then since I played a thwart event, I also get to deal a damage to an enemy. So I will deal a damage to Kang. And that is not an attack, so I do not take retaliate for that. All right, then this will be a little bit of a waste, but that's okay. So I'm going to spend both of my Keen Instincts as 2 resources. Oh no, it's actually perfect. Never mind. So I'll spend both of my Keen Instincts as 2 resources to play Forward Momentum to remove 3 threat from a scheme. So I will finish off that Pinned Down. Okay. Then I will... Let's see, he has 3 health left. Okay, so I'm going to pay 3 resources to play Concussive Blow, and again I used at least 1 fist, so I'm going to confuse him and deal 3 damage to him. 1, 2, 3. And confuse him. And then since I played an attack event, I get to remove a threat from the scheme. And then I played an attack. So I could remove a counter from here. It's not a forced interrupt. It just is interrupt, so I don't have to. So I'm not going to, because it would be wasted right now, because that +1 damage wouldn't do anything to him. And then since he's knocked down to 0, he's defeated. So that would mean that I also don't have to take the retaliate damage from him as well. And then it says, when defeated, remove inexorable fate from the game. So I'm going to take this main scheme and remove it. Set that off to the side. And then at the end of the phase, join another game area. The Master of Time was the card that was saying that throughout that, if we had gotten any acceleration tokens, they would have been placed on that instead of being placed on the scheme we were dealing with, but we didn't end up getting any, so that didn't matter. The only thing I have left in my hand is Counterpunch, which is a defense card, so I'm just going to hold on to that. So then at the end of the phase, I'm going to go ahead and ready all of my cards. And draw a new hand. I've got 1 card, so I need to draw 4 cards to get up to 5. Okay, so I had the Counterpunch, I got an acrobatic move, I got another warrior skill, piercing strike, and drop kick. Okay, so then since at the end of the phase, I need to join another game area. There isn't another game area for me to join since I'm playing solo, so I'm just going to move on to the next stage. Okay, so moving on to the last stage, you used your enemy's technology to reunite in the present day, just in time to counter Kang's assault on Earth. When revealed, reveal Kang 3 and add him to the game area. So we're going to go to our last final version of Kang, Kang the Conqueror, number 3. And then it says, reveal each face-down Kang's Dominion under this stage. We didn't end up getting any of those. That would have happened if we had let him finish his main scheme when we were in that second stage that we were just in, but that didn't happen, so we're not going to have to deal with that. And then we will flip this card over. On this side, it says, when revealed, each player searches the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for their nemesis minion and puts it into play engaged with them. Okay. That's kind of fun. This is one of the most hilarious things that they've done in this game, and thematic too. So we will get there in, I don't know, a little bit, not too long from now. But Nebula as a character is an ally in Gamora's deck. We saw it earlier when I had to discard it. She is also Gamora's nemesis minion. She is also a playable hero, so you can play her deck as a hero. And she is also a villain that you can play against. So she is everything that she could be in the game. Right now, with the way that it is set up, it is actually lining up in the alphabet that Nebula as a hero will be fighting against Nebula as a villain. Now, rules-wise, I believe that that is not technically allowed, because you're not allowed to have any character that have the little star on it. You're not allowed to have 2 of those in play at the same time that have the same name. So if, for example, Nebula, my minion, was out, I wouldn't be able to put Nebula, my ally, into play against her. There is a home rule, a house rule that a lot of people use called the multiverse rule, where they allow that to happen anyway, because there are so many thematic things that cause that to be okay, because there are so many multiverse things in Marvel where 2 different versions of the same character interact all the time and things like that. I mean, just look at the Spider-Verse movies, right? So if no new heroes and no new villains are released between now and then, I will be doing Nebula versus Nebula. So we'll see how that goes. I do have Iceman and Jubilee added into the mix. I'm fairly certain that Nightcrawler will be added into that list. We're pretty sure Nightcrawler will be a new hero that will be added in, but he would go after Nebula in the alphabet anyway. And then there's one more hero that they haven't announced yet that might mess up that order a little bit. Okay, all of that was just a reaction to the Kang's Wrath stage, saying that I had to go find my nemesis. So Nebula says she has Retaliate 2. So when I attack her, I'll take damage. And then when it would, it says when this minion would enter play, discard the Nebula ally from play. So just enforcing that rule where they can't both be in play at the same time. Now, the only thing I'm not sure about, so when we go to Kang the Conqueror 3, just like the other versions of Kang, he has toughness, so he's going to start with a tough card. The only thing I'm not remembering off the top of my head is if he keeps this confused card when he changes stages or not. I think, if I remember right, he doesn't, but I'm going to check, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I just found the ruling. So it says, normally when a villain is defeated, attachments and status cards are transferred to the next villain in the villain deck. Because it's technically the same villain. They're just like getting angry. They're upgrading basically. But Kang is different because it's actually a different iteration of Kang essentially. And there isn't a villain deck where you're going through the different stages. You're going through the villain stages in separation from each other. So it says, normally when a villain is defeated, attachments and status cards on that villain are transferred. However, there is no next villain deck in Once and Future Kang. So attachments and status cards are not transferred from Kang 1 to Kang 2 or from Kang 2 to Kang 3. So he comes in with the tough, but the confused card that I was able to put on him with concussive blow goes away. But that's fine. I wanted to play this anyway because it dealt 3 damage to him, and that's how I knocked him out in the first place. So, okay. And then Kang 3 goes to 20 health. So we're going to reset him to 20. And then it goes to his turn. So his turn, he's going to start with 0 threat on Kang's Wrath, and then it's going to go up by 1 at the beginning of his turn. And then he is going to attack me for 2 plus a card, and when he attacks me, I either place a threat on the main scheme or give him +2 attack for that attack, just like the original Kang the Conqueror did back in stage 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and defend it. And I am going to take 2 damage plus 1 is 3. Oh, shoot, I didn't say if I was giving him the +2 or not. I'll just, since I forgot, I'll just add the threat on there. Okay, so he had 2 plus 1 is 3, and I defended for 2, so I'm going to take 1 damage. And then I'm going to play Counterpunch. And after your hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack, which is 2, but then it's just going to get rid of the tough. And then after I play an attack event, I can remove a threat, because that can happen once per phase. So if we look at her hero card again, it says, after you play an attack event, remove 1 threat from a scheme once per phase. So I can do that during the villain phase as well. So I did that. Then I have to deal with an attack from Nebula. So she will hit me for 2. Can't really do anything about that since I defended against Kang. Then I will get an encounter card. Counter card says Stolen Memories. Place the top 8 cards of your deck face down under this card. Ouch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I can do an alter ego action, spend a blue resource to get those back. So I'll set those up there. It's a lot of cards. Okay. That is the end of Kang's turn. So then it is my turn. Okay. All right, well, we will use 2 Keen Instincts, plus we will use one more resource to play. Oh, nope, I want to use this one to play Dropkick. Deal 4 damage to an enemy if you paid for this using only fist resources, stun that enemy, and draw a card. So we're going to deal 4 damage to Kang. We are going to use Warrior Skill. When your hero attacks, remove a counter from here and deal 1 additional damage, so it's really 5 damage. Since we played an attack event, we get to remove a threat. And then we get to stun Kang and draw a card. We drew another Dropkick. Too bad I can't play that right away. All right, then we're going to play Acrobatic Move. It's free. We're just going to deal 2 damage to Kang, and it's actually going to be 3, so I'm going to deal 3 because of the Warrior Skill, so I'll remove the last counter from that and discard it. All right, and then I was planning on flipping over to Alter Ego form this turn, which I still could. But since he's stunned, I'm not as in danger since I'm at a little bit lower health. So I will have to take an attack from Nebula if I stay up. Right now, the bottommost card in my discard pile is Set the Pace, which I don't need because that's a thwart event right now. Though if I did flip over, he would add some threat to the main scheme. I'd also get more cards. You know what? Let's do it. So I'm going to flip over to Alter Ego form. If I can actually pick up the card. There we go. I have a playmat for this game. I really should be using it while I play these. Then I will use Gamora's ability to look at the top card of my deck. And if it's an event, I can add it to my hand. It's not, so I'm going to put that back. I'm going to exhaust Conditioning Room to heal myself for 1. And get the bottommost card in my event card in my discard pile back to my hand, which was Set the Pace. Then I am going to discard a blue resource from my hand from Warrior Skill to discard my Stolen Memories obligation and get these 8 cards back to my discard pile. Let's see what we were missing here. Yeah, that was definitely worth getting back for if I do end up shuffling. Those are a lot of good cards. Okay, and then I think that's it for that turn. So I will go ahead and ready everything. And then I have a Set the Pace and a Dropkick. I'm going to keep both of these, so I need to draw 4 cards to get to 6. Okay, so I had Set the Pace and I had Dropkick. Now I have Cross Counter, Martin X, and Hit and Run, and a Concussive Blow. Okay. So then he's going to get 1 threat on the main scheme. He's going to scheme for 2. Plus 1 is 3. Plus another one from Nebula, so he's going to scheme total for 4. And then he's going to give me an encounter card, which is Rampage. When defeated, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play. Okay, so that doesn't matter right now. Right now what matters is the acceleration icon. So it's going to make the main scheme go faster while it's in play. And it starts with 4 threat. Okay, I'm going to use the conditioning room right away again. I'm going to get the bottommost card from my discard pile, which is Forward Momentum, into my hand. And also heal Gamora for 1. Then I'm going to use her action to look at the top card of my deck. It is an event, so I'm going to get to add that to my hand. All right, I'm not going to heal. I'm going to go ahead and flip. And I'm going to all right, so let's do I'd like to do an attack event first, if possible. Okay, so I'm going to spend 1/2 with Keen Instincts, plus 1 more, and I'm going to play Cut Upper, deal 5 damage to an enemy, and stun that enemy. He's already stunned, so that's not going to do anything, so I'm going to deal 5 damage to him, which brings him down to 7. And then since I played an attack event, I also get to remove a threat from a scheme. I think I'm going to remove it from Rampage, actually. Then I'm going to spend 2 resources. I'm going to spend 2 resources to play Forward Momentum. Remove 3 threat from a scheme, 5 instead if you have played an attack event this turn. I played Cut Upper, so I get to remove 5 threat from a scheme, so I'm going to remove that from here. Okay. Then I'm going to use Gamora's basic attack of 2 to do 2 damage to Kang. Oh, and then he should have taken 1 more from when I did Forward Momentum, because when I do a thwart event, I should get to deal a damage to him. Oh man, I'm so close. Okay. Then the rest I think I'm going to hold on to. Because I have Cross Counter, which is defense. I'm going to hold on to that. Drop Kick is good, but I can't afford it. Hit and Run is good, but I can't afford it. So I think I'm just going to hold on to the rest of this. And ready everything up. And then I'm going to draw, I think I'm going to discard Hit and Run just so I can get more cards. If I can play Dropkick next round, I'll win because I'll just deal 4 damage to him. So I'm going to hold on to these and draw 3 cards to get back to 5. Okay, so I got another copy of Dropkick. I got Daughters of Thanos again, which again is just going to be a resource card. I don't think it counts as her being in play with her minion being in play. I honestly don't know. I've never had that situation come up because Nebula, I think, is the only one that is both an ally and a minion, but I'll look. And then I got an acrobatic move, which deals damage. Okay, so he is going to get 2 threat on the main scheme, 1 from normal and then 1 from Rampage. Then he would attack me, but he doesn't because he's stunned. Then Nebula is going to attack me for 2. So I will spend one of my Keen Instincts to play Cross Counter. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 3 of it, deal 1 to an enemy, remove 1 from a scheme. So I will deal 1 to Kang, remove 1 from a scheme, and then it does that again since it's both an attack and a thwart event. It does that again, and then I don't take any damage from Nebula. And then I get an encounter card, which is Future Weapon. This will make his next attack bigger, which hopefully doesn't matter because I'm just going to knock him out. And I can knock him out 3 different ways. I've got Acrobatic Move, which deals exactly 2 damage. I've got Drop Kick, which deals 4. I can do a basic attack on him with for 2. So I've got 6 different ways I can beat him. I'm going to do the most fun way. I'm going to spend a Keen Instincts plus a Daughters of Thanos plus a Drop Kick to play Drop Kick. And since I used all resources that were fists, I deal 4 and I stun him and I draw a card, which would have been, hey, look, Nebula. Nice. Okay, that is 4 damage, which he only needed 2, and he is done. Okay, I'm sure I messed up some things along the way there. There's a lot of triggers with Gamora's deck and remembering if you used your ability or all that kind of stuff, but overall, I think that went really well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Gamora is still probably my number 1 character. Gambit is getting close. Gambit's definitely number 2. Whether or not he takes over Gamora is to be seen, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, the next matchup will be Ghost Spider, which is another character that's really, really good, and it will be against Claw, and Claw is another one from the original box. So that'll be the first villain we've played against that was from the very first box. So, all right, thank you for watching, everybody. Catch you on the next one.